everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today I finally have another Funko Pop figure for you guys. I have been enjoying making these so much lately. They are extremely fun to make, and I am really fortunate in the fact that I am actually able to make them for other people as commissions, and basically that really helps support my channel and support me. But I'm also able to make really cool stuff for people that want it, and also for you guys to see on here on this YouTube channel. So today we are creating a Funko Pop figure of a popular Marvel character. He is a really cool villain. He is awesome and epic and kind of like badass. His name is GORR the God Butcher, and he is a villain of the Thor series, and he's super cool and super creepy, and I absolutely love that about him. Here's a picture of him, by the way, because, you know, I got to show you what the character is. But anyways, we are going to make a Funko Pop figure of this cool, awesome guy, and I'm really excited, so let's dive into it and have some fun. Now I'm going to start off with one of these Funko DIY bases. They actually sell these for people to be able to customize their own unique Funko Pop figures, and I love using these because it just gives you the perfect shape of the head so it is consistent with all of the other Funko Pop figures, and it also gives you like a sort of rough, like basic body that you can work off of. Now in the past I have had to like sort of chop the arms and legs off and like add different things, but this time it was a little bit easy in the fact that the character that I'm actually doing today is somewhat humanoid. He does have 2 arms and 2 legs and, you know, sort of normal human proportions, but he's got some other sort of details that we want to add over the top of that as well. So I'm starting off with the sort of tentacles that are on his head here. Now these sort of act like hair, however it is part of his body as he is sort of an alien species. So yeah, I basically just rolled out some sausage shapes and then connected them to the head for that, and made sure that they were in a sort of nice sort of position. Now after this, I made the sword for this guy because I wanted to sort of make this sword and bake it first, so that once I add it to the character it won't, you know, flop over. I wanted it to be sort of baked flat so it would stay rigid. So yeah, now the backstory behind this guy is that he has a sort of alien symbiote on him similar to the Venom species. I've been told that it was the first of Venom species, which is pretty awesome. And that basically makes him able to sort of form like swords and knives and stuff out of his hands, which is really awesome and cool. So yeah, that's why I'm doing the sword for that, because it's part of his character design, I guess. Now after this, I wanted to sort of add details to the feet, because he does have sort of like clawed feet. They're not like shoes, so I had to add the toes over the top of that, and that was pretty easy. I just added sort of rough, like pointy toe shapes, and then I put it down over the feet and made sure it was connected nice and properly. And then after that, I sort of had to reshape them a little bit because, you know, clay is very soft and you kind of have to fix things up constantly, but that was okay. I also wanted to add a little bit of an eyebrow, like grumpy expression on his face, so I used a little bit of clay over the eyes and I sort of shaped them into a sort of like a furrowed brow, sort of grumpy expression, and I'm pretty happy with that because it adds a little bit more emotion and, like, you know, life to the face. So after this, I wanted to add a little bit of a cool effect to the clothes he was wearing, because his cloak and his clothes and his weapons are actually part of this symbiote creature, which is like an alien similar to Venom. So I really wanted to use something cool, and I decided to go with a Fimo Leather effect clay because it would have this really cool sort of rough texture, kind of like leather, and it's actually a little bit flexible, so I thought that was really convenient to use for the clothes on him and his hood, and I'm actually really happy with that because it gives it sort of a rough, raw sort of texture that I really like for this character's clothes. I had to sort of stretch it and work it quite a bit to try and get it over his head, because, you know, when you roll it out it's flat and a head is a, you know, 3D object, so you kind of have to sort of wrap it around that. But I ended up getting it done pretty well with minimal seams, and yeah. Now I'm actually quite happy with the leather effect clay because when you cut it, it sort of has this sort of rough like edge on it because of the texture of the leather effect clay, which is very cool because it gave this sort of like tattered look to the cloak, and I was really into that, and I really liked that. So I sort of ripped some parts here and there subtly just so that it sort of emphasized that, because I was really liking it. And I also really do like the way that the sort of cloak over his head sort of like wraps around those tentacly parts, and you can sort of see the look of them through, but it's the rough shape, and it shows like the rough shape of his head, and I'm actually really cool with that. I kind of really like it. So now that I had the sort of rough shapes of him, the painting phase is the part where more of the details sort of shine through. I had planned to sort of paint more of the details on him than sculpt him, because in the past I have sort of sculpted like mouths and stuff, and it can be a little bit difficult to sort of, you know, add accents and stuff with the painting. So I decided to keep it nice and clean by adding the mouth and all of that with the painting section. Now, a lot of people will say Funko Pop figures do not have mouths. I have been told this probably 1,000 times, as well as pupils and like highlights in the eyes and stuff. And I say to that, you know what? Bugger you, because Funko have actually made plenty of Funko Pop figures with mouths and other details. This is mainly true in a lot of the ones where it is non-human characters and characters that have really sort of notable features, like the SpongeBob one and Jake the dog and a lot of the other animation type ones. So that's why I wanted to sort of add my own details, as well as the fact that my client who is commissioning this said that they wanted more details. So you know what, we are allowed to sort of add more details than Funko would do it, because we're artists and we create things and we try and make things the best we can, and that's what I'm doing today. So anyways, enough talking about other things other than what is actually happening on the screen. I've actually decided to sort of mask off some areas around the edges where I'm painting. Now this is because in the past I have been very messy with painting and I've gotten paint on areas which I did not want. So I really wanted to sort of protect that leather effect clay and sort of get minimal paint on it. So that's why I decided to mask off some areas so that I could add the sort of the grayish purple color of this guy's skin, and it actually worked out really well. I'm really happy with how I actually painted the skin. I did get a nice sort of even coat. It's minimal brush strokes, but there are still some, but I'm pretty happy with it. So the paints that I'm actually using today are my Sonjas Matte Flow acrylics. I use this for all of my acrylic paint stuff. They are absolutely beautiful, vibrant, and they have a nice sort of matte texture, so it's not too glossy, which I've found with other acrylic paints. So yeah, I'm actually painting the sword black, even though the sword should be part of the other sort of like the same texture, but I felt like I needed to do this sort of more rigid clay for the sword, because a floppy sword is not going to be very useful. Now the other details I'm actually going to be painting on this guy is sort of these sort of lines, marks along his skin. They look like really cool, almost like tattoos, but they're not. They're part of that sort of symbiote creature that's forming his clothes and his weapons. Now he does have sort of pants, underwear type things covering up his bits, I guess. And I definitely wanted to sort of stay accurate to that, but with the sort of lines coming out, I really tried to be a bit creative and put those sort of like black vein type looking things in areas that would look pretty cool. So I decided to just do a few on the arms and the legs in sort of like swirly textures, bit like, I guess a bit like veins, how like, you know, there's different branches and stuff. But yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that part, because when I added those details, it really did start to shine. It started to look a little bit badass, just like the character. So I was very happy with how that was going. Now the part where the sort of hand turns into the sword, I really wanted to have a sort of a nice sort of transition with that, so I decided to sort of mix a little bit of that sort of purple color with the black and try and add a bit of a gradient, so it wasn't just like, you know, cut off where the color changes. And I'm actually quite happy with that part. I will show a sort of better look at that later, because you can sort of, it's hard to see in the video because it's a 3D subject. But yeah, after this I decided to go in with the face, and I had a lot of fun drawing in his sort of grumpy expression. I love the frown. He does look quite a bit like Voldemort, especially with the nose, and I absolutely love that because Voldemort from Harry Potter is like one of my favorite characters. But I had a lot of fun painting around the eyes and just sort of emphasizing that expression with sort of more wrinkles and lines and, like, you know, dark parts around the eyes to make him look sort of evil and cool and badass. And of course I had to add other details like his toenails, because he sort of has like dark claws for like his feet and on his hands, but you can't really see that because he's sort of making a bit of a fist. So after this I decided to put the sort of reddish patches around his eyes. Now I mixed a bit of that black with a bit of red, so that it was like a nice sort of deep reddy sort of desaturated red color, and it really does sort of make his eyes pop and glow quite a bit, which I really liked. So yeah, after this I decided to go in with a bit of a glossy matte. So after this I decided to go in with a bit of gloss varnish over the top of the black parts, just to sort of give them a little bit of a visceral wet look, as if it's like a slimy alien creature. And here is the final result, and I absolutely love this Funko Pop figure. This is probably one of my favorite ones, just because I really like the character and the way he turned out, and his just like his attitude and the details are just really cute, and I feel like I sort of did it really well, and I'm really happy with it. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like Funko Pop figures, go check out my playlist. I have a whole bunch of Funko Pop figures that I have made, and I have other plans of the future for more Funko Pop figures. I have a few exciting ideas that I want to do. So yeah, please smash like and subscribe to get your scribble fix in the future. My name is Sarah, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.